Hello and welcome to another episode of the All the Gear, No Idea podcast. I'm joined by Keiran.
Hi everyone.
I'm your host for this evening, Bradley. You can find me at Thrust Aviation Imagery on the socials. Where can people find you, Keiran?
Yeah, find me Flyby Code on Instagram, Keiran Wilkinson Photography on Facebook, and KeiranWilkinson.com on the internet. And one day I will make those one, so I don't have to say three at a time.
Okay, so before we get going, let's just touch on what we've been up to since the various podcasts have been out. So I'll kick things off. Just this weekend gone at time of recording, I attended the RAF Cosford Air Show, which, as a theme of one of the last podcasts we've done, it was another backlit and heat haze fest.
Yeah, it's from what I've seen.
But a very enjoyable air show nonetheless. A highlight for me being the Mark I Avro Anson that's come over from Czechoslovakia, or the Czech Republic, which has got a bit of an interesting ownership deal with that because it spends a lot of its time in Belgium. So anyway,
interesting.
An incredible day. The guys dressed in period for Second World War costume, incredible. Beautiful display, and we'll touch on that again later because that's coming to Shuttleworth. So, Keiran, what have you been up to?
Yeah, a little bit less interest for me, but a fun day, Yorkshire Museum's Thunder Day, where we start up all the aircraft, and everything worked, which
good.
I think is the first Thunder Day I've done. That's my fifth Thunder Day, and it's the first time I've walked around and everything has worked. So, yeah, brilliant day, and the weather held off for us as well. So, yeah, good day shooting.
Yeah, so let's get into it. So this is a bit of a special episode, this one. So this is going to be hopefully not an excuse for me just to talk about Shuttleworth, because, I like to do that anyway. But in the absence of RIAT, there's one air show that's, I think, for both of us at least anyway, and the other guys that can't be here tonight, is Shuttleworth Festival of Flight, which is looking like our sort of mini-RIAT for the year, if you like. So we're going to do a little sort of prelude to that show, what to expect, etc. And so we'll kick things off by, what is the Festival of Flight?
Like Bradley said, so it's actually Shuttleworth's only 2-day air show, which is why it's particularly cool as well, because you get to see all the displays pretty much twice. I don't know if there's any Sunday-only displays this year. Even better than that, we have an evening air show this year. The first flying display sort of early afternoon to tea time, nice break to get your tea, and hopefully being Shuttleworth, nice and relaxed. Go and get your pizza, not a queue for 3 hours. I'd love Shuttleworth, but neither of us are affiliated with Shuttleworth, we should add. But we both absolutely love the place. And then an evening flying display, which is just brilliant, isn't it, Bradley?
Oh, exactly. So that's something that's following on from last year, is the fact that they used to hold their normal air shows and separate evening air shows. But the trouble with the evening air shows is because they finish that bit later and start that bit later, they just weren't really excelling for numbers. So what they've done is actually just combine the two. So we now have a normal flying display from 2 o'clock to about 5:30. Like you said, nice break, and then an hour to 2 hours of just evening flying, which, if you get the sunshine and a lovely sunset, there's nowhere better to be, in my opinion.
It certainly is, especially with the change as well. So like Bradley said, it came in last year, I think, and it was a bit touch and go. I remember I was at the air show where it got announced that they were changing to this new format, and everyone was a little bit nervous how it was going to play out, especially with the 2-day show. But then Festival of Flight last year was absolutely amazing, and the more evening air shows you are, the more we get the chance of Shuttleworth jewelling the crown of the Edwardians. They are on the list. I think it's worth saying, really good to hear the pilot is okay of the Avro triplane.
Yes.
Certainly a shame about an aircraft, but aircraft can always be replaced, people can't. So really glad to hear that, but also great to hear that the Edwardians are still, hopefully, should the weather play ball, going to be flying.
Yeah, exactly. So for those who've not been to Shuttleworth before, they have some of the oldest aircraft in the world which are still airworthy. And those need the perfect of conditions to fly. And we're talking,
and even then,
less than 5 knots of wind, and even then it has to be in the right direction. And that really is one of the standout things of Shuttleworth that separates it from everywhere else, is you can see stuff there flying which just doesn't appear anywhere else because they're simply
doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist anywhere else. Exactly.
Yeah.
Looking towards this Festival of Flight, so 2 days of basically aviation indulgence. Here's just some of the things that are attending, which you can imagine for avgeeks like us, it's got us salivating. The world's only BF 109E, based in Germany, is coming over. I think it flew into Headcorn a couple of weeks ago, which got a few people interested.
Turned a few heads, didn't it?
It did turn a few heads. Quite a hefty amount of the Flying Bulls fleet, including the P-38 Lightning, which It's just an absolute stunning aircraft. I think there's some doubts on the Bearcat at the moment because that was supposed to be at Leszno this weekend in Poland, and that has actually withdrawn. So we'll keep our eyes on that one. There's B-25.
I'll take losing a Bearcat over anything else. So.
Exactly, but it is a Blue Angel scheme, so it's quite cool. Their B-25 is coming. Their Corsair and Mustang, and they're both doing the evening display, I believe, on the Saturday, and then the afternoon show on the Sunday. So that is going to be really cool. Also,
so from a photography perspective, those Flying Bulls, a lot of them are polished silver aircraft. It's golden hour in the evening, just going to be something else, you know.
There's going to be a lot of noises made on this podcast as we mention things like this. A lot of grunting in a positive manner. Something that nearly turned up last year and then for some reason didn't was the RAF Typhoon. And not really sure what happened there, but if that had
Still
come...
don't know, do we?
No, not sure. It was supposed to have come and it cancelled late notice. But had that have turned up, we wouldn't have had the most incredible flying by the Edwardians. But that is back on for this year and it is doing the evening display on the Sunday. So very much looking forward to that because... those who know Shuttleworth, jets are very unbecoming for the thinking man's air show. Of course, as I mentioned in the intro, the Avro Anson Mark 1 from RAF Station Czechoslovakia is coming over, and that I'm already going to be all over because I've already fallen in love with it at Cosford. Not just the aircraft, the way the crew behave and the story that they want to tell, it's just incredible. We've also got the Flying Legends, so that's the German-based company Flying Legends Mustang Francis Dell. And of course, who could forget, you've got the entire Shuttleworth collection to join in with that. Something like the DH-88 Comet, their own Spitfire, and of course the Edwardians, as we mentioned earlier.
I think we're so spoiled with Shuttleworth with even just their collection. I mean, there's so many visited aircraft there, but just their collection of being able to see such unique aircraft, but photogenic. I mean, the Comet is quite a photogenic aircraft, but flown in a way as well that really is just like no other air show I've ever seen. So, yeah, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, so I think we're there both days because we're both staying over. Yep. So what are your plans for the show, Keiran? How's it folding out for you?
Yeah, so I've twiddled around with a bunch of holiday work. So I'm actually heading down to the south. So for those that don't know, I'm based up north in Manchester, as Dave, who's not here, would like to remind everybody. I've got my emergency mushy peas ready to go when I head south. I believe there is fish and chips, so just in case.
The northern guacamole.
Exactly. So I'll be heading down to Lakenheath, hopefully, on Thursday and possibly Friday to meet up with Dave from the podcast and a couple of other friends, hopefully shoot some jets, and then head to Shuttleworth sort of Friday afternoon kind of time and see how it plays out from there. This is the first time I've booked their camping package. It's new for this year, I think, at Shuttleworth. Yeah, that could be quite interesting, particularly if you are visiting the Festival of Flight. Take note, there's a lot of road closures. I'm looking forward to falling out of bed and to the crowd line. So that is how the weekend is going to play out for me. Fall out of bed to the crowd line, have tea, watch end of the show, fall into bed, fall out of bed Sunday to the crowd line. And that is my style of air show attendance. What about you, Bradley?
Yeah, a little bit similar, except for I'm staying in the luxury of a motorhome with, I suppose you might as well call him the father-in-law. And we're going up on the Friday morning, hopefully get some of the arrivals if there's not already stuff there. But last year we just had a chilled morning and we had a lot of the visiting stuff. So the French Blaise Flamand did a full set of rehearsals, and I think the Corsair from Flying Legends turned up. And so it was just a real chilled day. And I know, fingers crossed, and it's something that people know me, I don't really like to talk about it, the weather. Hopefully we have that.
We don't mention the weather.
We don't mention that. And hopefully we'll have something along the same lines. We could just enjoy Shuttleworth on a nice sort of normal day. Obviously staying the weekend. Very handy to have England playing their World Cup match against Panama on the Saturday night. So I haven't actually heard from Shuttleworth yet, but I'm kind of hoping they might have a screen somewhere. A full day of air showing.
I do believe, hot off the press in my inbox, there is a live stream of the World Cup England versus Panama from 10 o'clock on Saturday night.
It's just going to be perfection. And then that, hopefully, followed by another fantastic day of an air show on the Sunday. And then last year we didn't actually go home on Monday. We went home on the Sunday night, and because it went on until I think about 10 o'clock, we didn't get home until about 1 in the morning. So we've made the sensible decision this year to stay until Monday and take it slow and just really enjoy the time there because it's such a wonderful place to be.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, travelling home Monday. similar reasons. It's a bit of a drive up north, and learnt my lesson from mini-RIAT. So I'm going to be sensible.
Looking to the more technical side of photography, because after all, that's what we're here for, is what makes Shuttleworth such a wonderful venue for photography, in our opinion.
You've got to start with the crowd line, haven't you? That is what makes there's few and far between of shows that you can get the crowd line where the sun is in the right place for photography. So it's east facing, so the sun pretty much works its way behind you most of the day. You've also got a crowd line that's curved, so you've got the aircraft coming in. I've not seen anywhere, I don't think, where I can get a top side like Shuttleworth. There's some amazing shots to be had there, and anywhere along the crowd line as well. We were just chatting the other day about where we're thinking of meeting up. We're meeting up with some friends and hopefully some of the members of the Good Ship Co-op while we're there, and we were just talking about that, and pretty much go anywhere along the crowd line. We've sat with Bradley at the far end, where actually you can't sit now because they've stopped you sitting there.
Yeah.
By the entry road. We've sat from there right the way down to round the corner if you look at Shuttleworth towards the hangars, and you get shots from all over there. It is really a cool place.
That is what sets it apart from other venues, is the fact that you park on base, and as if it was a base as such, I'm just used to using that terminology with places like Cosford, and you're never far away from your car, unless you get there quite late, but I tend to be there before, the masses descend, as it were. For the Festival of Flight, I probably would plan on sitting at the fence line, but for most shows, I don't tend to do that, because providing it's not heaving, which Shuttleworth never seems to be, you never
no matter how many people go.
Yeah, it never seems that's the other thing that brings it into, excuse me, that brings it into its own, is the fact that everything just seems that little bit closer, from the flying to the proximity of the aircraft on the ground. That there's just so much to be had there, photography-wise. So that's what sets it apart for me.
Yeah, it's a lovely venue as well. Not everybody's there to sit at the crowd line all day. So you get a lot of people who go walking around the hangars, walking around all the activities, who've got families and things like that. So it's not just pile into a 20-person deep crowd line and sort of go from there. A lot of people sit by the cars. A lot of people are literally parked in the field of the air show. So if you turn up early, you're usually lucky enough to do that. And I've done that a few times when I'm just too lazy to go anywhere else. I just want to walk around and do the shoots first.
It certainly pays sometimes to be further back, because with how the display line is at Shuttleworth, a lot of the times the aircraft can almost feel like they're on top of you.
You run out of room.
You do, which is really nice to be able to say that in our world of aviation photography, when usually everything's just so far away.
Yeah, definitely a refreshing change. It does vary by display if you are going. Bear that in mind. You'll certainly see, certainly the local acts will generally display even closer, and some will push further away, and obviously jets have to be a little bit more refined on that. But yeah, no, it's a great venue for that, and relaxed. I mean, the other thing is the backdrop, the famous shed. How many photos of that shed have you got, Bradley?
Oh, too many. Sometimes it's almost like I'm trying to photograph the shed and the aircraft keep getting in the way.
So for the uninitiated, explain the shed for us.
So Shuttleworth is a grass airfield and like a country estate. So think like Woburn or a Blenheim or any other sort of country estate. A little bit like Midlands Air Festival away, if people have been there, except for the sun's in the right place, as we spoke about. Across from the main sort of paddock, if you will, the car park, is the shed, which sits in sort of a tree line, and it's sort of, I would say, a third to a quarter of a way down the runway. And so aircraft are quite often about to take off or zooming past on their takeoff roll as they go past this very picturesque shed, which is very much of the era. And if you've ever sort of seen the sort of the artwork around Shuttleworth, shortbread tin sort of style and Christmas card looking artworks, the shed usually features in that. It's such an iconic location of Shuttleworth.
The shed is as much part of Shuttleworth as the collection.
Very much so.
Definitely.
So looking ahead to the show, and I think hopefully we've salivated enough over that, is...
in case anyone can't tell, we're quite looking forward to it.
Is setting ourselves some goals, and hopefully we're going to do a second part to this and come back after the show and sort of discuss how well it went. So for me, I've already spoke about the Anson, and they're going to fly it, I think, with the Shuttleworth's own Avro 19 Anson, which would just be lovely. But again, something I couldn't get at Cosford was those close-ups of the crew. I could only see them through the cockpit on landing because, as people know with Cosford, you have to sort of base yourself in one place, whereas Shuttleworth you won't have to do that. So hopefully I shall find out wherever it's parked and get some nice shots, and hopefully a nice set of them crewing in that authentic Second World War attire. And then, of course, hopefully, if I've heard the rumours are correct, the P-38 will be on the deck at Shuttleworth, and to get anything of that against the Shuttleworth trees has got to be on my list of goals to get. So hopefully I can achieve them. And you, Keiran?
Yeah, so that we've not even mentioned, actually. So those that know me will know I'm a bit partial to a bit of general aviation. I feel like they're a bit of the underdog in the aviation photography world. And actually, I saw the Team Raven aerobatic team at Midlands Air Festival, and their new display is quite a tight display, quite a nice looking display of lots of different formations, and their aircraft are now repainted as well. So I'd like to get some shots of those, showing the sort of suitably chaotic nature of their display. Could be quite nice.
They're very good, aren't they?
They certainly are.
A lot of people are calling them a poor man's Red Arrows, but come on, they are very good.
Yeah, they're definitely like the manoeuvres they do are different. They're dynamic. Yeah, they certainly throw those Van's aircraft around that they fly. So yeah, it should be a pretty cool display, particularly Shuttleworth in close proximity to you and everything like that. And then there's obviously the Typhoon. So I think if I remember correctly, the last time the Typhoon displayed, it was into the evening. But I only did one day at the Festival of Flight last year. Oh no, it can't be the Festival of Flight. It must have been a different one.
Summer, I think it was the summer air show, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I had a lens that I'd borrowed.
Another one.
Said lens broke. So I borrowed this lens. It was a nice f4 lens, so that I could shoot the Typhoon in the dusk without worrying about a lack of light. And said lens broke within about the first hour of the air show. So that was not with great success. And then to add to that, I then obviously shot the Typhoon on a lens that wasn't well suited. This year, it's a goal to shoot the Typhoon in the evening light. That'll be nice. I'm actually kind of glad it's the grey jet, because I think that'll look kind of nice in the evening light. It's probably one of the few times I've said that. But equally, it's also touch and go what lens I'll be using. So watch this space for how that goal goes. The goal is to get a nice shot of the Typhoon, whether it's something more creative of sort of small plane, big sky, because I've got to shoot with a wider lens with a wider aperture. We'll see. I'm sure there's some creativity to be had there. So, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I think there's a slight caveat with the Typhoon is this might work to our benefit actually because of the proximity. I think is it Luton that it doesn't actually do its full display.
Do a flat display.
It does a flat display, which usually means lower and closer. We hope. So, having seen it do I think it was the first year of the Festival of Flight. I think it was when it was the Moggy scheme. And it was really quite cool to see something like the Typhoon.
They have the Reds as well some years. Obviously, they're headed out to the US today.
Yes, they are.
I can't remember today or yesterday. So they will not be displaying at the Festival of Flight.
No, but there is more than enough to get us excited over, as you can probably tell. So, moving on to advice to those who have never been to Shuttleworth before, what one piece of advice would we give them? Kick things off, Keiran?
I think for me, it's taking in the stands and the other attractions around the site. It's not so busy that you can't get a spot if you can leave your chair at the crowd line. That's up to you whether you choose to do that. For me, I don't think it's necessary because it's on a slight incline anyway. You sit a little bit back, you're still good for shots. But yeah, taking the stands, there's all sorts of different stands to go and see. There's often different museums. I don't know who's at this show, but yeah, I believe Runway 25 are there with patches.
Yeah.
So that could be a dangerous day. But go and take in that experience. It's a lovely buzz, and it's a smallish site as well. You're not walking for miles. It's not like RIAT where it's 3 miles end to end. You're talking a few minutes either side. So go and enjoy that because there is so much to see that isn't just on the crowd line and in the air at Shuttleworth.
Exactly. So, I think I'm going to echo most of that, and maybe with a slight caveat to that is actually it's probably one of the only places I can think of on the airshow circuit where it doesn't really matter whereabouts you stand.
No.
They all have benefits, as we said earlier. I know they've up the second paddock, which is near the rugby field. They've actually stopped you standing along the road because I'm guessing health and safety's intervened there with the.
Yeah, you have to stand back on a fence now, don't you?
Yeah, you have to stand the other side of the road just for health and safety purposes, I guess. But even so, you've still got the angle looking straight down the runway, which is something totally different. Obviously, it depends on which end they're using, whether you get the takeoffs or landings coming away from you or coming towards you. But then I've even sat away from the runway behind the tower, and that's a lot of the time is where they park a lot of the visiting acts. So you can get wonderful shots of Spitfires starting up. Only the last show I attended, I think it was the Wings and Wheels one, we had the Bouchon, which shot out a big lick of flame on startup, so you get a shot of that. And I can't really imagine it's, I don't want to slate other air shows, but somewhere like Duxford, even Cosford, for example, you're very much rooted to your spot because of the amount of people there and the size of the venue, that you can't go, oh, that Spitfire's about to start up, I'll just dash over there, or this is about to...
I mean, yeah, you probably heard me talk in previous episodes. If you're a sort of avid listener, you probably heard me talk about like the Rich Goodwin shots that I got last year in, I think it was the Summer Air Show, where I literally saw him get on a tractor and beat the tractor to his aircraft. So that was nice. 5 mile an hour speed limit's very helpful when you get running. Though you can get those kind of shots at Shuttleworth, and you can see it unfolding in your entire eye line. Talk about the people, all the Shuttleworth volunteers moving the aircraft about. Make sure to take in all that as well. There's some amazing scenes, particularly as they start firing up multiple collection aircraft, and they're all there in the period sort of white coveralls and on the tractors, and even the Land Rover moving the fire bottles about is period. It's that kind of place. It's fantastic.
Yeah, we're both in agreement that there is nowhere else like it, and I think more people should try it out, because it really is, for photography at least, is the venue for me. I can only think of one other place that has a slight curved display line, but even then it's far away, and that's the Victory Show, and I'm sure we'll do a future pod on that. So I think that pretty much brings our sort of preview of the Festival of Flight to an end, and if anyone has not been able to get to that one, or it's just slipped off their radar, there's another incredible air show again at Shuttleworth the weekend after what would have been RIAT, and that is the Summer Air Show, and even that show's got an incredible lineup, so I'm sure we'll do a pod on that, if not allude to it later. So I think that pretty much brings us to the end.
That's just going to be excellent, that one. Take a look at I think they're aiming to get as many Spitfires as they can, kind of thing.
One of every airworthy mark, I believe. And I think they're up to 9 already that have confirmed. And, I mean, with a whole host of other things. And, again, their own collection of stuff. It really is somewhere that I have to go to because it's just so good.
Yeah, it's non-negotiable.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, before we take up the entire time of a full episode in this Microlight that's already longer than a Microlight talking about Shuttleworth, I guess we best bring that to a close.
Yes, let's do that. And hopefully we'll see some of you guys there.
Yeah, see everyone at Shuttleworth hopefully, and until the next time, bye-bye.
See ya.